guys, welcome back to Tigera Gitana. My name is Abby and we're going to do the sacral healing reading for the week of May 28th to June 4th. Oh, summer is coming. So again, just to recap, I'm gonna start these, I started this series because I wanted to mainly focus on healing for the sacral space, as far as like we're gonna be talking about chakras, but I'm kind of getting it started a little bit early because especially for women, our chakras is where we keep our trauma, or like it really goes back down. I feel like in many ways the chakras have a way of like recalibrating and kind of restarting themselves in many ways. When they get blocked, it just starts going down, blocked. And once you get to the heart and the throat and the mind, you're like all blocked here, then it just keeps getting blocked. You can't be happy right here with your solar plexus if your heart space is messed up, your mind is messed up, you're not thinking straight. Then by the time you get to the sacral space, you're completely just not good. So this is just mainly focusing on what we need to address in the week, so we can heal our sexual karma and sexual trauma and all of those experiences and things that we need to let go of so we can manifest from a good place. This is right before the root chakra, because once you get into foundational stuff, root chakra really affects, really focuses on real life manifestations as well, because it is the root, is our foundation, it is our manifestations, it is how we are seen in the world, how we are financially, what we're standing on. That's really it. And if we're kind of like a hot mess by the time, like right after you get to the sacral space and that thing is closed, then on your root chakra, it's going to manifest in a really big way, because you'll have imbalances in the way you use your money, because you're not using your heart space, because your mind is not in the right place. You could, like, I don't know, lose the house. You could, like, it will just be manifested in a really negative way, where it will affect you in a real life physical form. Even though all the chakras can affect you in a physical form, but there are some chakras that are more spiritual than others, which are more physical. So the root chakra is really the one to not let get imbalanced, because if your feet are not close to the ground, you're gonna have problems in areas where you're not gonna be able to stay still, or you're just gonna be kind of really all over the place. It is possible to have some chakras balanced and then the root chakra not be balanced, and then you need to work on that. That gets into astrology as well, because there are people that just don't have a lot of earth in their chart and have a hard time being rooted to the ground, because they just don't know how to. So they just have to do a lot of like work when it comes to like doing meditations and like different yoga poses and grounding things, because there always has to be some sort of rooting back to the ground. You're on this earth after all, you know. So we're going to do May 28th, June 4th. What are challenges, the blockages in our sacral space? Oh, interesting. We have the King of Swords first coming out. This is interesting to me, because in this deck it is ruled by Aquarius, and that's very interesting to me because it's the King of Swords that came out first, and we're in Gemini season, so that means that there's definitely some thoughts going on. Six of Wands in reverse, so thoughts of very, very strong thoughts, because the King of Swords is not like the Page of Swords. He's very much in connection to he's very stubborn. He can be very stubborn. Like all the air signs have a way of being really strong, but like in card form, they have, there's a fluidity with them, that with how clear they can be. The higher up the scale, the less fluidity there is. So with the King of Swords, he's very much sure of where he stands, of his mind, of his thoughts, of what he's feeling. And it seems like there's just a relationship between where you are and where you're not mentally. There's a stubbornness there, because once the King of and mind you, this is a card of Aquarius in this deck. Aquarius is a fixed sign. There is a stubbornness to all of the fixed signs, but once the King of Swords decides that he made a decision, that's what it is. Then we have the Seven of Wands. It's interesting. There's a lot of fire in here. So there's a lot of passionate feelings about feeling this Ace of Wands. So there is an opportunity to unblock just an idea. It's a mental, it's very much mental. It's not as much a feeling it, but it's very much a mental thing, about where we're at, where our path has led us these past few years. And it's like a stubbornness, it's a mental stubbornness that just kind of doesn't want to budge a little bit. And you're kind of realizing, especially with the Seven of Wands, that it can't stay there. It just can't stay there. There's something like you always have to justify and fight for that, to keep that kind of mentality. And there's really an opportunity with this Ace of Wands to kind of break that habit and clear that space. And this has been happening since the last reading, but we keep getting a lot of fire cards when we're talking about the sacral space, so that's kind of fun. So the Six of Wands, there's definitely something that happens. Again, I think it goes with the last reading that we had. There's a place or something that you didn't get, or that you think, a place that you think that you should be in, that you just are not in, and so you're like struggling to accept the fact that you're not there. But there's like this stubbornness with this air here. And I mean, we're in Gemini season, so fluidity is of the essence at all times. Geminis don't like to be stuck to anything, so this kind of would be a struggle if the energy is very fixed for you and you're kind of in this place where you're like, I should be doing this, I should be the manager, I shouldn't be still assistant manager, I shouldn't be I've been struggling for this many years to do it, I shouldn't be in, like, I deserve better. It's kind of like the way this reads is, I deserve better, I deserve this ace, I've worked hard for this ace, I know I deserve this ace. Why am I still struggling to get this ace? Why am I still fighting? Why does it have to be a fight? Why does it have to be a test? It doesn't have to be a test. I should just get the thing. I need the thing. Why can't I get the thing? So that's kind of very frustrating. I can see why that would be up there. I mean, the best way, especially because we're in Gemini season will push you to kind of be a little bit more fluid at all times, because it doesn't do this energy very well. It needs to be able to take kind of risks. That's the energy of Gemini. It's very much risk taking. From the 20th to June 4th. It's very much risk taking, and it's very much learning and accepting and adding to its arsenal. Gemini does this a lot. Got the Fool. Fun stuff. Okay, let me lower the volume of this thing, because I'm getting notifications like up the wazoo. It definitely needs to do this. This is the energy of Gemini for sure. It needs to be like fluid. It needs to start new things. Always start new things. Always just learn new things. Always taking new experiences. Always add to its mental arsenal, because Gemini is very interesting, because it's definitely the Lovers, the card of Gemini. I can't even talk about Gemini enough without it coming. Gemini is really interesting because it definitely needs to have the space to run and play, and it's like they're kids. They're like little kids. They need to learn. They need to like absorb things. And when this kind of energy does not do well for a Gemini, because then their bad twin comes out, take it from a Gemini moon, and then they just start slashing things that they don't need to slash, and kind of mentally, this is like the upper mental breakdown of like, why can't I get the thing? And then the bottom deck of the cards are just like, you need to chill. The Hangman. Interesting. Gemini also doesn't like this energy. It doesn't like being hung up anywhere. It needs to be fluid. Interesting that the whole bottom row has been major arcana as well. But it really focuses on using Gemini energy. And the best is to let go. Temperance. Then we have the Nine of Cups, and you will probably think I'm lying, but our outcome again is the Empress. That is hilarious because that was our outcome last time. Bottom of the deck is the Seven of Pentacles and the Six of Swords. So that's kind of interesting. Bottom of the deck for the other deck. Oh, I said it in the last reading. I'm using the Tarot Sexual Magic for this deck. And the Monaro Tarot for this deck. And I'm going to also pull a card from the Zodiac Oracle as well. So the bottom of the deck for this was the Four of Wands and the Two of Cups. Interesting. So this is really cool because most of the bottom, like as far as advice, is major arcana. There's only like one card that's not, and it's the Nine of Cups, which is never a bad card, and is also a card that we had last week. So that's very interesting. Two cards that we had last week, Empress and the Nine of Cups. So in order to find satisfaction in what we need from this week as far as our sacral space, we really need to let go and stop being stuck on the fact that we deserve something, or we know we should get something, we know we should be in a higher place, and then just be patient. And I think the reason why the Hangman and Temperance came out after this is because just as much as Gemini, like the Gemini energy, because again, if you watch my other videos, I talk about how each season the energy of there's a mantra, there's a motto, and there's an energy for each season as well, because the sun brings that out. It brings out the ego of the Gemini. So even though you're not a Gemini, you're still working with that energy, and that might not be super comfortable for you. It might highlight a placement in your chart that you need to work on, where you feel like you're not seeing movement, but there's definitely kind of just letting yourself loose a little bit, because the Hangman is not necessarily one of the best positions to be in, but is also taking a pause to getting enlightened, which is the important part out of this. With Temperance, it's just telling you to be patient. It's telling you to really take time to enjoy things, because the Nine of Cups, he still has that like ego, but you're really not going to get to this kind of Empress, okay, I deserved it, I got it, I am this, that's it. You're not going to get there by being stuck, because the Empress always represents like the world. She's that feminine, divine feminine energy. Divine feminine energy does not just stay stuck. It definitely evolves, just as with nature. It represents like the earth. So it needs to evolve. It needs to let things grow. And it comes with, every season comes with a different energy and a different part that affect that world. But the Empress knows how to move through those phases without getting frustrated or stuck, without feeling those things. So there's a fluidity that you can take from Gemini season right now that's very important. And it's just kind of about like right now, trying something new would be a really good thing, whether it's a new hobby or like just something, anything that can bring freshness to your life. Would help you clear up that sacral space a little bit better, because then you'll have your focus on something else. Again, Gemini energy, thoughts, mind, what you're thinking, what you're focusing on. How are your thoughts serving you at this time? Are you using it to stay stuck or to be fluid? Can you be more fluid in those spaces that you feel stuck in? Is there anything that you can do that you say you can't do because you did everything that you can actually do? Is there anything that you can add to it? Is there somewhere else that you need to be putting your energy? Is the universe trying to push you into a different energy? These are questions that for this week that you can kind of work on, journal and all that good stuff. But it's not bad. It's very interesting. I feel like we're all trying to get into this like Empress vibes. Like we're all like and I feel like we should be, because Scorpio season is always can be very heavy, but it's a very like kind of sexual season as well, because Scorpio rules that energy. If you kind of do the work early, by the time you get to Scorpio season, you won't need to do a harsh transformation. And I always talk about Scorpio season for this, because Scorpio season brings the energy of transformations very much in your face. So where you feel stuck and like really rigid and you just don't want to you just feel the way you feel, whatever, Scorpio season will drag that out of you, and it's not always the best feeling, and you can get very depressed during those times. It's very hard to take in when you're the universe is like the sun in that placement is like, no, you need to clean your closet, this gotta go, because you have other stuff that you need to do. So if using Gemini season in that airy kind of just, I can do whatever I want, and I could just be playful, I can, try new things, like using that energy is way better, because then you'll be able to use your time a little bit more wisely, and then you might actually come up with something that can help you in the long run. So it could be something that maybe you're working on a book and you got writer's block or something like that. Maybe what you come out of by just being playful, or stop thinking that you're in a writer's block and just kind of forgetting that you're in a writer's block and doing something else, might just trigger the idea and the thing that you needed in order to push you to where you actually needed to go, and then you can go back and reassess what you were writing. So in those ways, like, what can you do to not necessarily change your situation, but just do something completely different that doesn't have anything to do with the situation? Because you can find inspiration in the most randomest places, but it's always not where you were already at. You can't really get inspired from being in a stuck, fixed mentality. So yeah, some thoughts for this week. So I'm gonna pull an oracle card, and then we'll talk about it. But it doesn't look bad. I feel like we're all, again, trying to get to this Empress vibes place, and I think it has to do yeah, I saw the universe, because of the cards that just came out. I think it has to do with just really wanting to be clear and wanting to just be at the place that we need to be, and feel like, okay, we're financially stable, we're working on our passions, and it's successful. So not always, it's not always an easy climb. Take it from a Capricorn. So the cards we have astrologically is very interesting, because they're all actually signs. The first one, this is why I laughed, is Scorpio. Yes, so if you didn't think I was going crazy by bringing up Scorpio and that, now you know I'm not. So definitely a Scorpio energy, transformation, letting go, doing something new, allowing new energy to come in, because they're the sign of the rebirth. Then you can laugh as well. Gemini. I'm not surprised the Lovers came out. Gemini season, being open to that change, being like just fluid, allowing new things to happen to you, not being stuck, and just trying new things. Just try something new. And then there's Leo, which is fun, because Leos are very much about having fun, and there is an ego from this, because there's a lot of wands in here, and those are the fire signs. It's a lot of ego. It might be your ego that needs to just change. There's something about the way you're seeing it that might just be too egotistical, and you might just be blocking yourself from it. The next card is Capricorn, which is interesting. So the lesson that you need to take from Capricorn, this is coming from a Capricorn stellium. So it can be more of a Capricorn than some people, but the lesson that you need to take from Capricorn is that when we get to a point where we don't really get frustrated on the climb, because we know that we're made to climb. That's kind of the lesson of a Capricorn, the lesson you could take from this. We know where we're need to get. We know where our status is. We know where we're headed. We know what we know what's the top of the mountain. We need to know that in order to climb the mountain. So you might know that you need to be in a different place than you are. You might be frustrated in that, and you might be turning that into a negative thing. But Capricorns use that as a drive. Like, we already know. So even when we hit snags and we like get in, we don't really get into that mentality of, unless you're working with like shadow Capricorn energy, we don't really get into that mentality of, oh my god, I want that thing, why I don't have that thing, oh my god, I'm so frustrated. We just like, okay, well, we didn't get it, cool. We're still gonna go for it. I'm still gonna show you why I deserve to have this thing, and I'm going to, on that way of on the climb up, I'm still gonna take care of whatever I need to take care of. Capricorns tend to be a little bit stubborn and can tend to other people's eyes not to want to move, which is where the stubbornness comes from. But in all actuality, we are very much a cardinal sign, and we do make moves when we need to make moves. So when this kind of stuff happens, like, go on a vacation, don't stay stuck, plan something else while you're trying to get that other thing. Plan something else. It's summertime, plan a 3-day vacation. I do this all the time. The past years of my life, ever since I turned 18, I was flying and traveling everywhere. So just very much try to have fun. Try to do something fun. Leo, sun, ego. Sun, fun. Have something fun. Do something fun. Gemini, fun stuff. Don't make the Scorpio energy, this like transformative energy, take you. You can easily transform into the Phoenix, or you can very harshly transform into the Phoenix, which might not be the funnest thing to do. It's not easy to go through that process all the time. It could actually be very, very painful, but it doesn't always have to be painful to change. You just have to kind of allow yourself, be open. I don't know how many more Gemini cards I need to come out in this reading, but just be open, and allow yourself to go on the journey. That's what Capricorns do. The mountain is not always the safest. You're gonna find some slopes that are not like the easiest, and like there's some things that could happen, but the point is we need to get up there. That's gonna happen. That's the prize. The prize, Capricorn always looks at the prize. It's not the, like, even if it hits a snag, is like I remember last year when I was going up for a promotion at my job, and I was doing see, this is another thing. Capricorns do everything we need to do to get that thing, right? So I already knew that I deserved it, but it was like, and that I was doing everything. I was meeting every single quota. I was doing all the things, but they would still found a reason not to give it to me, which was that I was too new, which is kind of bullshit anyway. But I used that, instead of getting mad and then stop doing what I was doing, I continued it, and then I got it 2 months later. So it was like, I wasn't really worried about what the thing was, because I already knew that was, Capricorn energy will also analyze what you think you're gonna say to them. So I already knew that the only reason why they wouldn't give it to me was because of that. So I accepted it early. Once you accept what the possibility could be early, then when it happens, you're not surprised that it hasn't moved too much. Then you could just continue on, keep climbing, and then get to the point where you wanted to be. So really, when it comes to working with that energy, it's not about getting stuck. Because you can even, like, Capricorns don't really have to really always go through this kind of scorpionic transformation, because we are cardinal, because we make sure we stay fluid and we stay goal oriented and we keep climbing, because that's the point. You just gotta keep climbing. Don't get frustrated in the thought of I deserve that thing. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Definitely do some sacral meditations this week, and some just release work seems to be like a good thing to do. I mean, we just had a Scorpio moon, so definitely we're about to, I mean, I'm pretty sure the moon is already in Sagittarius, so set the intentions for this week and just work with the moon energy. Do some release work, do something else that's just funner. I mean, we also are getting into there's going to be a moon in Capricorn as well, because after Sag is Capricorn. So work with that energy. Don't get stuck. Plan new things. Use that Capricorn moon to plan new things, and to have newer goals, newer expectations for yourself. Look at where Capricorn falls in your chart, look at what Scorpio, look at where Gemini falls in your chart as well. If you don't have that, you can still work with the energy because the sun is still in that energy. So yep, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys next week.